Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Works, Volume 1, right now on States and Kingdoms. Welcome back to States and Kingdoms. Jenna here.
Sean here.
Today we're talking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer's album Works, Volume 1 from 1977, which is their first album after a 3-year kind of break, touring.
Hiatus. This is actually a really interesting record.
It is.
The more you kind of dive into this, and this is kind of the case with ELP altogether, one of the most interesting groups. And this album, really, it's like could have been made only by them. I mean, a band with such talent and ambitions.
And also tension.
I guess, yes, and there's the tension.
Aggression.
There's so much music on this album, it's a little frightening. And, I actually... It depends, but I mean, I kind of like to listen to this side by side.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
Like close.
Mm-hmm. Because it says Keith Emerson side 1, Greg Lake side 2, and Carl Palmer side 3, and really
extremely distinct.
Take their word for it. It really is like separate
for
EPs.
A reason, right.
And then of course side 4 is
the group.
Really is fantastic, but. So, okay.
How do we get into it?
Well, there's no real way.
I know.
Side 1.
You just open up and go.
Are you a little sailor, you? Anybody ever do that to a gatefold cover?
Motorboat
gatefold cover.
I was like, open up Greg Lake's shirt.
Anyway, side 1, Keith Emerson, Piano Concerto, number 1. Now, I love the gumption of Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
And ambition.
Yes, no, but they're just, I mean, I'm avoiding to use the word.
The B word.
But it just is, putting your piano concerto.
I thought you said putting your what?
Slide 1.
You're not going to say the B word, but then you're going to say...
You just
slap your piano concerto right there.
Stop opening an album with a piano concerto, full orchestra, is an extraordinary thing. And I would say I'm not qualified to really judge his concerto.
Yeah.
I like the first and the third movement have things that I think are very, very beautiful. I think it's extraordinary. His talent, as a pianist, as a composer, are wondrous.
Yeah.
I mean, other than Frank Zappa, I was trying to think who else could have done something like this. Right. I mean, maybe someone could suggest someone. That's all I can say. I enjoy it, and I do like.
It's beautiful.
I do really admire them putting it first, although.
Well, that's
maybe that was a little ill-advised, along with a couple other things on this album, which we will talk about.
Right. The sequencing and the actual structure of the album is something to discuss.
Yeah. So I mean, it was 18 minutes, side 1. And
it's a beautiful piece of music.
A lot of great moments.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things in it that are certainly memorable.
And a lot of it sounds like Emerson.
Well, the piano part certainly.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely.
And I'm not.
His style.
A lot of things, like if you're composing for a full orchestra, there's, the way you use the orchestra, how you orchestrate is what I really can't. I'm not gonna say anything about really. I will say one thing, because I've seen some criticisms that it wasn't sort of modern enough. And, that's fine, but something being modern doesn't make it worthwhile. There's a lot of focus on that in art and in music, in higher culture.
Progress for progress sake.
And, you had to do abstract art. You couldn't do figurative paintings for a long time. If you did figurative paintings, you were a lesser artist somehow. Right. You kind of romantic musical, traditions in
was
composed
passé.
music was, things like that. And I don't really hold with that. So I mean, I think it's very interesting. I think you can take it on its own terms. Is it one of the greatest works of music, classical music? No, probably not. But it's very, very good,
It's
and
really good.
so impressive. So then side 2 opens.
And Greg Lakes died.
I actually like these songs.
So do I.
I genuinely do. It's just that
It took me a minute to get into them. I had to, really listen.
it's just that it's not really Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
Right.
and it's not.
It's not. It's,
I mean, in a way,
it's just Lake.
you
Big
know,
Lake.
I happen to. I love Greg Lake's voice. An amazing vocalist. He's wonderful. Really wonderful.
He does have a really great voice.
And so, I really I like all the songs. I really do. Nobody Loves You Like I Do. At first, like, does that really belong on a Emerson, Lake and Palmer record? We're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it does.
Why not?
There it is.
It's good.
Yeah, even C'est La Vie.
Actually,
and the way
wound up sounding more like the Who than
Yeah. The end of C'est La Vie, really, it kind of picks up, and it turns. I mean, these songs, I think, outwardly seem maybe on the simple side, but they're actually not.
On the softer side.
On the softer side, yeah. But there's actually more going on than you think at first listen, and they're actually. I find myself looking forward to hearing them more and more, which is kind of a hallmark, I think, for Emerson, Lake and Palmer in general. The more I listen, I want to keep listening more and more.
It's layered music. It was made that way.
Exactly. And just a note for everyone listening at home. And you know this. Emerson, Lake and Palmer was really the first band, the first classic rock band. I'll say the first band not from my own time that I listened to, that I found on my own outside of something that mom or dad listened to. Mm-hmm. So really, before the Who, before the Kinks, even before the Beach Boys, really before the Doors, like, I was listening to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which I think is just really interesting, isn't it?
Not really.
Okay.
Anyway, the anyway, well, it's interesting you didn't remember that.
I didn't really until more
going
recently.
through
I was
a lot
like,
of these
I was
albums
like, well,
again.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I love Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
I love Willa. Anyway,
yeah, they're all good. They're all really good songs.
No, I mean, the people's opinion about this album. I mean, about the concerto, about it being first, that could create disappointment, among other things, and Greg Lake's compositions. Some people don't like them. I mean, they don't sound the same as the last Emerson, Lake and Palmer record. This album is definitely very different.
It's different.
And then you get to Carl Palmer's side, and it's another shift. It's another major shift, and it's really it's
a bit of a mixed bag.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of moods. Carl Palmer's side. You've got like the kind of like there's like jazz fusion stuff. It opens with a classical, adaptation. Mm-hmm. Then you've got like a kind of a funky bluesy thing, right. And then another. Yeah. I mean, it's just like all these different moods. And the only criticism, honestly, I think.
Ending with Tank.
Tank, I honestly, I'm not. It doesn't better the original, so I'm not.
Yeah,
I thought it was a strange choice.
I was like, why did they bring that back? Because I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's on the first
album.
On
the first album.
And I really enjoy the song. But yeah, I thought it was interesting to bring it back here.
Listening to Carl Palmer's side of this is when I feel like maybe the way they structured this was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because just having it separated like that.
You kind of want one of Greg's songs.
Yeah,
thrown in
and you could have the like L.A. Nights in between as like a connecting song, and shifting the rhythm and the tone around a little bit more, instead of just kind of like like Greg Lake, I mean, the songs are all really good, but it's just like kind of similar, and then then instrumental.
I understand what they were going for, but
no, of course,
but yeah, for just the possibility of listening to it all the way straight through, I think it would have served it better.
Yeah.
If it were a little bit more blended, even if it was all still like solo credits.
I mean, it would have been. That's totally retrospect. They didn't do that. They didn't want to do that,
and that's fine.
It would have changed it. It would have had to have been changed. I'm not sure how they would really restructure this.
Well, I do like.
Where do you put the concerto?
Yeah, I like that. It's so orderly. It's so tidy. You know, like your side, and then our side.
Yeah.
And it does feel fun for the fourth side for them to all come back together. For me, the final song is one of the strongest moments on the album.
Yeah.
I don't mean to skip.
No, but Fanfare for the Common Man is pretty famous. Their version of it, I mean. And it's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's great.
Because they totally put their own spin on it, which is awesome.
Yeah, Pirates it's just a fun kind of, I don't even know.
It's a fun pirate song.
It's a pirate song, yeah. And the music for it and everything, I think, I mean, really, the more you hear it, the better it gets.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And Greg Lake is in fine fettle vocally.
Oh, yeah.
On the whole album, but
in
Pirates.
Always sounds great. And I think that's something that I took for granted for a long time, was just how good of a vocalist that he actually is.
I guess so. I mean, since hearing, King Crimson, I always loved that voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Because he has, I mean, there's something, especially on Pirates, that feels a little more theatrical than usual. And it feels, it's like a bravado there, and he's like kind of really, taking on that pirate role.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully he doesn't actually do the accent or anything.
We don't know what he's wearing, but it might be piratey.
He did have an eye patch. I've seen pictures.
It might be like a pirate blouse, like from Seinfeld.
I think they wore those anyway. But Pirates, I mean...
It's exciting.
I'll tell you, this album is difficult to get into, to talk about. There's so much music, and they throw so much at you on 2 records. It's kind of extraordinary because of the way they did it, because of how they separated them, and it doesn't feel quite like a band. And obviously, this is the end of Emerson, speaking Palmer, Kirk. This is basically the end of their, I guess, their classic period. I mean, some people actually may consider brain salad surgery the end, but I don't. I think this is absolutely still them.
This has to be considered part of it.
At their peak, or maybe just after it.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's always sad, and they fell precipitously.
But when they're firing, they sure are.
There are plenty of great moments on this album. We're listening to Tarkus at the same time. I mean, you know that. I don't have to tell you that. I'm telling them that.
I was there.
Yeah. We've been listening to Tarkus at the same time as this.
Like both going at the same time, which is wild.
Right. And, when you're listening to that, and I don't want to give away our review, but we listen to that.
Stay tuned.
Versus this, it's... The main thing is this, it's just not a band performance for most of it, That's the thing, and it's really not. That may not appeal to a lot of people, and and they chose to do it that way, of course. It's a different kind of ELP record.
5 cents. I think it's interesting because they're a band full of so much aggression and force and tension, so it's like, this may be like this chaos that's just like bursting to like break apart, and finally it did. It broke apart, and now they're all in their little spaces, but then they come back.
And there certainly isn't as much of that bombast, and
Palmer's
Palmer's side is
right.
actually probably the
That's
most
true. That's true. It is.
You
In a
know,
lot of ways,
classic sounding ELP
yeah, that
stuff.
is the side that sounds the most like, yeah, classic.
I think it's very enjoyable to listen to. I do tend to listen to it side by side, not all the way through.
Yeah.
And you know, and that is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you can skip to the just
Pirates.
well, you can skip to the last two songs, and you know, and even that is wonderful. But I think the point we're just making is that there is wonderful music on here.
Oh yeah, like there's no way that this should be dismissed.
Yeah.
At all. I don't know who's dismissing it, but you shouldn't do it.
And I like the cover.
I like it too. They have a great logo.
They do.
It's an awesome logo. It's tropical. It looks like Love Beach coming.
I'd say for a band that is so, the word eclectic is used a lot, but a band that is so eclectic, this is not really such a shock.
It shouldn't be.
You know, in a way? I mean, this is the band to do something like this.
Of course. Thank you so much for watching our brief discussion of Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Works, Volume 1. Please make sure to let us know what you think of this album in the comments below. And stay tuned here at States and Kingdoms for more videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We will see you next time.